She stood in the doorway like she was posing for a painting, red lipstick, black heels, and the same leather purse I gave her 2 birthdays ago. The one she said she loved because it smelled like real loyalty. That was before she forgot what that word meant. She tilted her head at me like I was a confused stranger. Then she said it, softly, like it was just another Thursday. I'm not saying I have other options, but you should know I'm not stuck. Not stuck. She said it like it was a gentle truth, like I'd be relieved for her. Like the fact that she had backup men waiting in the wings would somehow inspire me to rise to the occasion. What she didn't know is that I was already broken. Days ago. Quietly. It wasn't the lipstick, though I knew she only wore red when she wanted to feel powerful. It wasn't the way she looked me up and down like I was a chore. It was what came before, the patterns she didn't think I noticed. Like the texts with names that didn't match the photos. The gym sessions that lasted longer than movies. The password changes. The new ringtone. The locked notes app on her phone. The sudden taste for whiskey neat and jazz playlists when she used to gag at both. It was the moment 2 weeks ago when I called her babe in public, and she didn't flinch, didn't even look at me. Like the word meant nothing anymore. She stood there waiting for a reaction. Some kind of outburst. Maybe even a meltdown. I guess she thought I'd beg. Or cry. Or tell her I'd do better. Be better. Compete with the phantoms she kept dangling over my head. But I didn't. I just got up. Walked to the door. Opened it like a hotel concierge. And I said, "Don't keep them waiting. The spot's free." And I pointed. Right at the hallway. Right at her escape. She looked shocked. Only for a second. Then adjusted her purse and walked past me like I was furniture. No hug. No glance back. Just the clack of heels echoing down the stairs. The moment she disappeared around the corner, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I realized something. I'd been emotionally homeless in this relationship for over a year. I just hadn't noticed the eviction slip was already taped to my heart. I closed the door, sat back down, and stared at the untouched dinner she made. Salmon, quinoa, lemon slices on the side. She never cooked unless she was about to ask for something big. I didn't touch the plate. I picked up her wine glass instead, sniffed it, and nearly choked. Whiskey. Not wine. Not even close. She wasn't just preparing to leave me. She'd already said goodbye weeks ago. I didn't sleep that night. Not a minute. Not because I missed her. I didn't even know who she was anymore. But because silence makes everything louder. Every sound in the apartment became unbearable. The fridge hum felt like a siren. Pogo, our dog, whined once and then laid by the door like he was waiting for her to come back. I knew better. I sat at the edge of the couch for hours, just staring at the wall across from me, like maybe it would peel back and show me where I went wrong. I kept thinking about that look she gave me before walking out. Like she wasn't sure if I'd really let her go. Like she thought the door would slam shut, and I'd chase after her, yelling apologies I didn't know. But I didn't. I let her go. And that terrified her more than anything. Around 4:30 in the morning, I wandered into the spare room, the one she used to work in before she got that fancy office job downtown. I sat down in her old chair, half expecting to feel something sentimental. But instead, I saw it, the iPad, just sitting on the desk like a forgotten weapon. She never used it much after getting her new phone, and judging by the layer of dust, she hadn't touched it in weeks. Curiosity didn't just kill the cat, it resurrected me. It was still logged into her iCloud. I didn't go looking for anything. I didn't need to. The notifications were already there, stacked on top of each other like a digital confession. A message from someone saved as L. No photo, just an initial. Cold, clean, hidden in plain sight. Let me know when you finally tell him. I'm tired of pretending I don't exist. Then another. You looked insane in that dress tonight. Are you still wearing it while you read this? God, I hope so. And one more. Timestamp just 3 hours before she left. Tell him soon or don't come back to me at all. My chest went numb. Not in a theatrical way. Not like in movies when the guy clutches his heart and sinks to the floor. It was worse. I just sat there, breathing slowly, feeling everything and nothing at the same time. She wasn't just flirting. She wasn't just hinting. She was preparing a full transition, a handoff. I wasn't a husband. I was a placeholder. I kept scrolling. Photos. Not the explicit kind, just enough to wreck me. A mirror selfie in our bathroom. Same lipstick. Same heels. Only his name at the bottom. Pharrell Blackheart. She'd taken it in our home. The same night she told me she had other options. That wasn't a hint. That was a pre-game announcement. And I was the one too stupid to hear the whistle. I couldn't cry. Not yet. Anger hadn't kicked in either. It was just hollow. I wanted to scream, throw the iPad, smash every photo of us in the apartment. But all I did was set it down carefully, like it still had value. Like anything she left behind still did. Then I realized something even worse than betrayal. She was never going to tell me. She wasn't building towards some dramatic confession. There wasn't going to be a sit-down talk or teary regret. She was just going to keep stringing me along until I broke on my own. And then she'd get to say, it just wasn't working. Clean hands. Clean exit. But not anymore. Now I had evidence. Now I had leverage. Not for revenge. Not yet. But for truth. Because for the first time in 9 years, I had power, and it terrified me almost as much as it probably terrified her. Because she had no idea I knew. Yet, I didn't call her the next morning. I didn't text. I didn't send some dramatic message like, I saw everything. No, that's what she wanted. To know she still had control. To know she still lived in my head, even when she was in someone else's bed. So instead, I made coffee. Fed the dog. Opened the windows. Let the house breathe without her perfume lingering in the air. And then I started deleting her. Not dramatically. No fire. No dumpster. Just slow, methodical removal. Toothbrush, gone. Her shampoo, poured out. Framed wedding photo, face down under the bed. I didn't throw anything out. Not yet. I just made space. I needed to feel like the apartment belonged to one person again, even if that person was half dead and running on autopilot. That night, I made a list. Not a revenge list. A clarity list. What I knew. What she didn't know I knew. And what I could do with that knowledge. It was all stupid, really, the fact that she never logged out of her Google account on the shared desktop. Maybe she thought I was too dumb to check. Or too heartbroken. Or maybe she wanted to get caught and didn't have the spine to admit it out loud. Whatever the reason, her calendar was right there. And L, whoever he was scheduled like a recurring meeting. Lunch. Hotel. Gym. Wine bar. Over and over again. Color-coded. With cute little emojis. But one entry stood out. Final talk with T? Depends on his mood upside down face. The audacity of it. I wasn't even a person anymore. I was a task, penciled in between Pilates and some stranger's bed sheets. Still, I didn't flinch. Because now I had a better idea. I called in sick to work. Not because I was sick, though maybe emotionally I was rotting, but because I had things to do. Quiet things. Strategic things. I went to the storage unit I hadn't visited in 2 years. Pulled out the small box I kept from before I met her. Old journals, my birth certificate, a spare checking account I'd kept open under my dad's name when I was freelancing. Guess what still worked? The account. Guess what had a little money in it? The account. Guess what I immediately started transferring paychecks into? That same account. She'd never see it coming. Because she never thought I had secrets. She once said I was too predictable, too honest, too easy to read. What she didn't know is that even honest men can feel when a storm is coming, and smart ones build shelters in silence. That night, she texted me. Lana, hope you're okay. Weird energy last night. Wanna talk? I stared at the message for a long time, like it was written in a language I used to speak, but forgot. I typed back. Me, yeah? Tomorrow's fine. No emoji. No warmth. Just enough to keep her wondering. I didn't want her back. Not really. But I wanted something worse for her, doubt. Doubt that she still held the leash. Doubt that I would sit in my misery while she danced in someone else's arms. Doubt that she could leave without a scratch. Because soon, she'd come crawling back, pretending nothing happened. And I would be ready, but not the way she expected. The next evening, Lana showed up at the apartment as if nothing had happened. She didn't knock, didn't text, didn't even hesitate at the door. Her key still worked, of course, and the sound of it twisting in the lock made my stomach turn. She walked in carrying takeout bags, like she was doing me a favor, like I was the poor fool sitting here, starving without her. She even hummed, as if the night before hadn't been a declaration of war. I sat there, pretending to read a newspaper I hadn't opened in months. She placed the food on the table, slid out the cartons, and smiled the way people do when they're trying too hard. I said nothing. Silence has weight if you let it linger long enough, and I made sure it pressed against her chest like an anchor. Finally, she broke. You've been quiet. Don't tell me you're upset about last night. You know I was joking. Her tone was light, teasing almost. but her eyes flickered nervously when they searched mine. That flicker told me everything. She wasn't joking, not even close, but she was desperate to keep her little empire intact. She wanted both worlds. The shiny new man waiting in the wings, and me sitting here like a reliable old coat she could grab whenever the storm hit. I watched her pour herself wine. Same bottle she bought for the two of us a week earlier, the one she swore she'd been saving for a special night. Now she poured without hesitation, filled her glass to the brim, and sipped while watching me. She wanted me to ask questions. She wanted me to crack. She wanted me to give her some sign that she still had me wrapped around her finger. Instead, I reached for my phone, scrolled absently, and let her sit there, boiling in the silence. That's when she snapped, though in the softest way possible. You know, Tobias, men would kill for me. Sometimes I forget how easy you've had it. She said it while chewing on a bite of sesame chicken, like she was reading from a script she'd rehearsed in the mirror. That was her move. Make me feel replaceable, disposable, lucky to even have her. I almost laughed. Almost. But then I looked at the wine glass in her hand and noticed the smudge of red lipstick clinging to the rim. That same shade from the night before. The one she didn't wear for me. The one she didn't buy for me. And I knew without a shred of doubt that Elle had already tasted that same glass, maybe even in the same lipstick stain. Suddenly, dinner felt like poison. I pushed my chair back, slow and deliberate. She looked startled, like she thought I was about to yell, maybe flip the table, finally give her the drama she secretly craved. Instead, I leaned forward, steady, calm, and asked a single question. Does he know you're here? Her fork clattered against the plate. She froze, lips parting, breath caught. She didn't answer right away, and that hesitation was all I needed. My chest tightened, not with anger but with something colder, clarity. The kind that hurts more than rage ever could. I stood, walked toward the door, and this time I didn't just hold it open. I swung it wide, letting the night air rush in. Don't keep him waiting, I said again, softer this time, almost like a whisper. The spot's still free. For a second, she looked small, like a child caught stealing candy. But then her pride straightened her spine, and she smirked, grabbed her purse, and strutted out like she was the one in control. The door clicked shut, and I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't, because 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You're making this harder for her than it has to be. Let go. And that's when I realized he knew about me too. The number was unfamiliar, but the message cut through my chest like it had been carved in a language I was born to understand. You're making this harder for her than it has to be. Let go. Just those words. No name. No punctuation. Just a digital whisper from someone who had been close enough to know I existed and bold enough to think he had a say in what I should do about it. I stared at the screen for a while, not touching it, like the words would change if I blinked long enough. My first thought wasn't rage, it was shame. That somehow I had let this happen, let it go so far that the other man wasn't just lurking in the background, but stepping forward to negotiate like a diplomat in a war I didn't know I was losing. I didn't respond. Not then. I closed the phone, sat down, and tried to remember if I'd ever seen his face. A flash and a reflection? A voice in the background? But nothing came. I didn't even have a name. Just an initial, L, and now a message from a number tied to no contact list, no identity, no human trace. Later that night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I heard her voice in my head, like an echo. You've had it too easy. And then his, let go. I couldn't sleep. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I logged into her email. Yes, I still knew her password. It was the same one she'd used since college, the same one I helped her reset when she lost her phone 2 years ago. She had no reason to believe I'd ever use it again. She thought I was too trusting, too naive. That was her mistake. The inbox was clean. Too clean. No social media alerts, no newsletters, no receipts. But the sent folder? That's where the mess lives. That's where people forget to tidy up. And that's where I found it. 3 weeks ago, she forwarded a hotel reservation to someone with the address Lauren. See, Morris at. My heart skipped, then restarted with a stutter. Lauren? Elle wasn't a man. Elle was a woman. The lipstick. The perfume. The late nights. Suddenly it made more sense. Not less, more. Lauren had replied in that same thread. Short. Aggressive. He'll figure it out eventually. Just make sure you're not in the apartment when it happens. So that message earlier? The one from the unknown number? It wasn't a jealous boyfriend trying to scare me off. It was her, Lauren, messaging me directly from a burner number, controlling the story, framing me as the villain in a narrative she and Lana had rewritten behind my back. I wanted to throw my phone, but I didn't. I wanted to scream, but I stayed silent. My silence was my power now. Let them think I was broken. Let them think I was crawling. I wasn't. I was documenting. Screenshots. Forwarded emails. Text backups. I compiled everything. Not for revenge. Not yet. But because I needed proof that I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't imagining the manipulation. That this wasn't just a bad marriage. It was psychological warfare with lipstick on. And then I crafted a message. Simple. Chilling. Controlled. To the unknown number, I replied. Tell her to keep her key. She won't need it. There was no answer for hours. Not until the morning, when Lana texted me out of nowhere. Lana, I need to come by later. Just to talk. I didn't respond. I left the door unlocked. Not because I trusted her, but because I wanted to watch her lie with her shoes still on. She had no idea that I knew it wasn't a man. She had no idea I knew it was Lauren. But when she walked through that door and saw how calm I was, how clean the apartment looked, how empty her side of the closet had suddenly become, something behind her eyes shifted. The game had changed, and she had no idea what was coming next. Lana walked in just after noon, like she'd timed it to avoid neighbors, sunlight, or accountability. She had her hair tied up, no makeup this time, not even the red lipstick. She looked younger, strangely, or maybe just nervous. She hadn't texted again since last night, and I hadn't responded to the first one. That silence must have weighed on her, because the first thing she said wasn't hi, or can we talk, or even a lie to warm up with. She stood in the doorway, eyes darting to the space where her shoes usually sat, and asked, "Why does it feel like someone died in here?" She tried to laugh afterward, like it was just a joke, a warm-up, but I didn't give her anything. I just motioned toward the table. 2 chairs, same ones we'd used every night for years. But this time, I'd left her seat empty and mine pulled slightly forward, like an interviewer waiting for a confession. She sat, slowly, carefully. Her fingers tapped the rim of the glass I'd placed in front of her. Water, no wine. That itself was a message. I knew her tells too well. When she tapped like that, it meant she was trying to think of a version of the truth that wouldn't sound like betrayal. She still thought I didn't know. Look, I feel like things got tense, she started. And I know I might have said things that came out wrong. I wasn't trying to hurt you, Tobias. I swear. You know how I get when I feel stuck. She was talking in half-truths, the safest kind of lie. Blame it on feeling stuck, not on her secret girlfriend or the hotel rooms or the lipstick on borrowed wine glasses. I let her talk. That was the trick. You don't confront a liar too early. You let them build the house, decorate it, move in, and only then do you burn it down with one match. I just wanted to feel wanted, she said. You felt distant. You've been quiet. I didn't know if we were even on the same page anymore. I looked her in the eye then, not with anger, not even sadness. I tilted my head the way she used to do when she was pretending to listen. Then I said, "Is that the story you've settled on?" She blinked. Just once. What do you mean? I leaned back and slid a printed sheet across the table, the email thread between her and Lauren. I'd printed it in grayscale, cheap paper, nothing dramatic. But it might as well have been soaked in gasoline. She didn't touch it. She didn't even read the whole thing. She just looked at the sender's name and froze. And then the performance began. It's not what you think. Classic line. She means nothing. Even better. I didn't plan for this to happen. That's when I smiled. Because that was the first honest thing she'd said all day. You're right, I said. You didn't plan. You just wandered off into someone else's arms and hoped I'd be too broken to notice. Her eyes shimmered. I wasn't sure if it was guilt or panic. Doesn't matter. Both are useful. I was going to tell you, she whispered. When? I asked. Before or after she texted me pretending to be some guy? Now she looked confused. Genuinely. So I pulled up my phone, slid it across the table, and let her read the message Lauren sent me. Her mouth opened slightly. Not because she was shocked I found it, but because she didn't know Lauren had crossed that line. She did what? And there it was, the crack. The first fracture between their little fantasy. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten, scream, or cry. I simply sat forward and said, "You're not safe here anymore, Lana. Not because I'll do anything, but because you've built a life that doesn't include me, and it's time you live in it fully." No more two addresses. No more emotional bookkeeping. Pick your home. And don't come back for the furniture. She stared at me like I was speaking in tongues. Like she hadn't thought I was capable of putting the weight down. But what about us? She asked, voice small now. There is no us left, I replied. There's just me. And I've decided I like who I'm becoming without you. She stood slowly, picked up the printed emails without another word, and walked out of the apartment like a stranger. No slam. No scream. No scene. Just the soft sound of retreat. And I sat in that silence, not with victory, not with peace, but with clarity. The kind you earn. The kind you don't come back from. 3 days passed without a sound. No calls. No texts. No passive-aggressive quotes on her Instagram story like she used to post whenever we argued. It was as if Lana had fallen off the face of the earth. Or worse, as if she had finally moved on cleanly, effortlessly, without any trace of guilt. I told myself that's what I wanted, for it to be over, for the silence to stretch long enough that it became peace. But by the third night, I wasn't sleeping again. Not because I missed her, I didn't, but because I was waiting for something. And when you know someone as well as I knew Lana, you don't wonder if the next strike is coming. You just brace for where it'll land. It came at 6:42 a.m. on a Saturday. I heard the doorbell first, sharp and impatient. Not a knock, a buzz. The kind people press when they're not here to drop off cookies. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed Pogo by the collar, and opened the door. A small brown box sat on the welcome mat. No label. No return address. I didn't touch it right away. Call it paranoia, or instinct, or maybe just experience whispering in my ear. This isn't an accident. I brought it inside, sliced the tape open with my keys, and what I found inside made my stomach clench like a fist. Photos. Printed. Dozens of them. Most of them were harmless at first glance. Shots of me walking the dog, parking my car, eating alone at the Thai place near my job. Grainy, distant, zoomed in from across the street. But then came the ones that weren't so innocent. Me holding hands with my coworker Claire during a walk we took last month. Me leaving her apartment building one evening. Yes, I'd been helping her move. But the pictures didn't include context. Just angles. Just timing. Just shadows arranged like accusations. And on top of the stack, a note. Just one sentence, typed and printed. Two can play this game. No signature. No initials. But I knew exactly who sent it. Lauren. It was retaliation. Not because I had exposed them, but because I hadn't played along. I hadn't broken down. I hadn't fought Lana for her. I had refused to be the villain she needed me to be. So now she was rewriting the story again. This time, with evidence. I stared at the photos, trying to breathe through the panic crawling up my throat. Would Lana believe this? Had Lauren already shown her? Was she trying to twist the knife by making it look like I was the one cheating all along? I didn't know what to do first. Call Claire and warn her, or call Lana and confront her. But I did neither. Instead, I walked into the bedroom, opened the bottom drawer of the desk, and pulled out the second folder I'd been building. The one with every message. Every calendar event. Every hotel receipt. The one I had labeled exit plan. I added the photos to it. Sealed it shut. Because now it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about character. About narrative. Lauren thought she could smear mine. And Lana, if she believed her, would go down with her. So I crafted one more message. Calm. Precise. Delivered to the same burner number. I suggest you stop. You don't want the full story getting out. No threats. No drama. Just fact. Because I knew something she didn't. If this ever turned public, she had more to lose than I did. Corporate job. Public-facing leadership position. Carefully curated social media. Clean brand image. You don't play dirty when your own name is made of glass. That evening, Lana called. Voice trembling, tight. What the hell is Lauren doing? So she had seen it. Maybe even believed it. But something in her voice told me she didn't expect it to go this far. Maybe she thought she could handle Lauren. Control her. Or maybe she finally realized what kind of person she'd been crawling into bed with. She's your problem now, I said flatly. You brought her in. You deal with what she becomes. Tobias, I didn't know she'd. I cut her off. You didn't know a lot of things, Lana. That's been the problem all along. And then I ended the call. For the first time since she left, I felt something close to control. Not because I'd won. Not because I wanted revenge. But because I'd stopped being a character in their story. Now I was the narrator. And the last chapter was mine to write. A week passed. No more boxes. No more burner messages. No more Lana. Lauren had gone silent too. Maybe because she realized I wasn't going to bite. Or maybe Lana had finally drawn the line between drama and danger. Either way, the quiet was welcome. The apartment felt like mine again. I moved her perfume out of the bathroom, tossed her tea collection, switched the sheets. Little things. Cleansing things. The place stopped smelling like her. And I stopped waiting for the doorknob to turn. Claire came by one night, the co-worker from the photos. She'd heard whispers. Said someone had DM'd her anonymously, trying to stir something. She showed me the message. You deserve to know who he really is. Claire laughed. I do know. That's why I'm here. We sat on the balcony after dinner, drinking ginger beer and talking about the kind of stuff you only admit when you've both seen the ugliest parts of people. I told her the whole story, every detail. She didn't judge, didn't try to fix it, just listened, and when I finished, she said something I didn't expect. Sometimes, people leave you like your furniture. But that just means you're finally standing still long enough for the right people to find you. She didn't mean herself, not in a romantic way. She just meant someone. Someday. And that was enough. The next morning, I got one last message from Lana. Lana, I signed the papers. And I'm sorry. For everything. You didn't deserve it. There was no plea. No manipulation. No attempt to rewrite the ending. Just 7 words that meant more than all her excuses combined. You didn't deserve it. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry. I wasn't. Not anymore. I was free. 3 months later, I took a weekend trip alone. No reason. Just the ocean. A quiet room. A notebook. I wrote in it like I hadn't written in years. Not about her. Not about the pain. About me. Who I was. What I loved. What I'd forgotten while loving someone who only saw me as a backup plan. I didn't come back with a new lover. Or a new job. Or some big revelation. Just peace. It came in small moments. Real ones. Like folding laundry without hearing tension in the air. Like grocery shopping without checking a phone that never used to ring. Like walking pogo at dusk and knowing he no longer whined at the door, waiting for someone who'd already left long before she physically did. This wasn't a story about cheating. It was a story about release. About finally stepping out of someone else's emotional prison and realizing the door was never locked. I had just forgotten how to leave. And now? I'm not perfect. I'm not healed. But I'm becoming. And that's more than I ever thought I'd be the day she said. I have other options. Because so do I now. Real ones. But more importantly, I choose me.